Anthony, you have some veteran guys among the youth and experience here. Obviously, some guys who were at the World Cup. You also have Paul Arriola, who's one of those guys who was right on the edge of making the World Cup roster. What was your approach with him? Are you surprised, given what he had gone through mentally after the World Cup cuts, that he decided to come in? And just your general thoughts on what he's going through.
Yeah, I was. It's a tricky scenario because I can't imagine what he went through not going to the World Cup, having been with us for such a long time. So it was. We spoke about it with the staff, and we wanted him to come in, and we thought we questioned whether he would want to or how he was going to feel, but we spoke with him. And honestly, his response was as you would expect from such a good person and a good character like he is. He loves representing his country, and his response was really, it was amazing. So I don't want to say I was surprised, but I thought, wow, what a response that is from him. He was. Talked about his what it meant to his family and his friends and his teammates. And anytime the national team comes calling, I'm available. So we're glad he's here because he can help us on the field and also he can help us off the field. And he's just a really good character around the place.
Thanks.
Cheers, Steve.
With Sendejas, what was kind of the process of getting him, reintegrated in the program in terms of even maybe going back to when did you guys start reaching out to him, given his uncertain status and stuff?
Yeah, I know. Back a while ago, Greg had started that process and had a conversation with Alejandro, and I think it was really about timing. And I think this opportunity came up when we put the list together. We put names on there, and he was one of them. Where I have to be honest, I didn't think there was any chance we were going to get him because he's obviously playing in season right now. So when we made the call to the club were amazing, really positive, very supportive of him coming in. Which I was like, I was shocked. But they've been great, and then we spoke to Alejandro, and the same thing. He was like so excited to come in. What a nice guy he is, and yeah, we're lucky that we've got him in. He's going to come in for just this one game. His team play after this, so that I've got to be honest. The fact the club have let him come in to play against Serbia and then go back to play for them on the 28th. Is amazing. A huge amount of respect for the club, and it's been great to see him. I think the players have really enjoyed him being here, having him around the camp, and so it's been good.
Michele.
Hi, Coach.
Hey.
I wanted to ask about the thought process of having Mikey here for the U20.
Yeah.
It's on
yeah,
the
yeah,
side.
yeah.
And what does he bring? What's the benefit of having him here? And also some of the U20 players like Paxton and Cowell here and not there.
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think we had a camp before we went to the World Cup in Dallas, and Mikey came in with us to work with the 20s to play, to train with us, but against us and prepare in the same shape as the teams we were going to face in the World Cup. It was such a valuable camp for us. Because we played against the shape of Wales and mainly Wales predominantly in that camp, and we learned so much from that camp. There was things we found out in that camp that if we hadn't have done it, we would have found out in the first half against Wales. So that was really good, and the reason it was good was because of the work he did with the 20s, and there's a bunch of his players that we've been looking at that I know as well, having worked with a handful of them when I was with the 20s. So it kind of made sense that for now we could bring up some of the 20s. They could be around us with Mikey. Mikey can be here, and whilst he's here as well, we have the other camp set up. There's a lot of communication going on. I've just been in the locker room now quickly, and I'm like, Mikey, how you doing? He's on his headset. They're communicating with the guys down at the 20. So, Mikey's he's a good coach, and he's been very, very supportive. The other person who is BJ Callahan, who's in camp, who's been one of our assistants for this last campaign. And wow, this guy's impressed me so much. I've learned a lot from BJ. He's someone that has a lot of knowledge around the game in this country. He's an unbelievable worker when it comes to like scouting players, scouting opposition, supporting the staff, organising the analyst department, sport. Like he's someone that's really, really valuable. And if BJ wasn't here, there's a big void. It'd be tough to, So I think this camp for me now has been it's been fairly straightforward because the staff have all been great, and and we have a really clear way of working. So it's been good.
Damien.
Anthony, what's been your thoughts or impressions on Jalen Neal so far this week?
I've been impressed. Yeah, I've obviously seen him a bunch of times. I've never really worked with him closely. I've been on the same training field as him, but not directly worked with him. Confident kid. He doesn't seem fazed by being here. And then even watching training this morning, he did some things this morning where he just shows a lot of confidence, a lot of calmness on the ball, things that you would see from a more experienced player. And then also a lot of feedback from Mikey on Jalen as well. So we were confident about bringing him in. It was an opportunity to see him play. And obviously it's a position where we need to keep, as with all positions on the field, we need to keep adding depth to this position.
Kyle.
Yeah, Coach, what is your role as part of a collaborative process to determine what this roster should be, and then working in an interim role, how do you go about planning for the future and kind of looking out for your own professional interests as well as what the future of this team should look like?
We had a filter for this camp of young high potentials, Olympic age players. We wanted to try and get some dual nationals in, so there was a few others that we tried to get in, but they were playing for their clubs. And then we've got the other ones that we wanted to bring in, so it was dual nationals. And then the other part of it was guys that had World Cup experience. That was sort of our filter, and it was important that we brought a core of players in that knew about the culture, knew about how we do things on and off the field, and those guys, as of today, have been amazing. The senior players in the group. So that was the thinking around how we put this squad together, with also a view of identifying positions on the field that we want to add depth to. And then with regards to my own personal or professional, honestly, I said this the other day, I've been asked to do this job. My biggest, when I was asked to do it, it comes in very strange circumstances, difficult circumstances. I think it's a shame for everyone who's involved, players, staff, Greg, everyone is affected by it. It's just not, it's not a nice situation. But then you get into the camp starts approaching, and my biggest, first of all, I've said yes to doing it for now, and then my next huge responsibility is to the players. And we know historically this is a camp because we can't get all our top all our players from overseas because they're not available. Historically, this camp opens up a space for new players to come in, and we've seen, I think there's 30-odd plus players that have earned their first or second cap in this window in the past and gone on to represent the States in a World Cup. So this is a camp for opportunity for players. So I just keep defaulting back to that my responsibility is making sure that I help prepare the players, help the staff prepare the players, get them ready for the game, put them in a position to succeed. That's all I'm thinking.
And do you have an expectation for how long you think you'll be in this
I have no idea. I think we play these 2 games, and I'm going to go home and see my dogs and see what comes after that.
Anthony, thanks for taking the time, first of all.
No problem.
What's the process for you been like since leaving Colorado after a difficult time there?
Yeah.
And with the U20s, and as an assistant on Greg's staff, and now as interim manager.
Yeah.
What has that process been like for you, and what do you feel like you've learned really from how things ended in Colorado to now?
Yeah. It's a good question. Things are, perfectly honest, is tough. Like, I think we're all human beings. I devoted my adult life to being a coach and developing and learning about the game, and and professionally you want to do well, and when it doesn't go well like that, it's really tough, and especially when you're in a different country than where all your family are, and all your support systems. And I remember when I left Colorado, I actually stayed in Colorado for a period of time, and my staff that had come with me stayed at Colorado. So I was in Colorado just on my own, really, and it was like, I need to get out of Colorado quickly, and but then it was just about, reflecting, and it's been an amazing journey. It's been an amazing experience. I've learned a lot. There were things that I felt I could have done better at Colorado, the things I could have improved. I don't have any regrets, but certainly I look back now, and I think the next time I go into it, I'll be way better for it. I learned a huge amount from that experience. So yeah, that was, then coming into the 20s has been great, and then the pandemic hit, and then I just got drafted in with Greg, and that's where that process started. I was, involved in all the scouting, and we did a lot of projects during that time, and then that's just how my progression. So I have a lot to be grateful to Greg for giving me the opportunity. I got to learn a new way, a new method, new style of, a different way of playing the game, which has all been great for my education, and yeah, it's been great. I mean, I've loved my time in the States so far. It's been a really, really good time.
Anthony, thanks for doing this. Questions about a couple players. Firstly, Paxton and Jonathan mentioned he's being used centrally in training. How do you think he's with there in training? How far do you think he is to? How far off do you think he is from making a difference there at the international level? And then the other players, John Tolkien, he's been on the radar for a while. Greg and name checked him in the summer. How do you think he's fitting in the group, and what are you expecting?
Yeah, well, firstly, they're both great characters, like just full of energy, confident kids. Paxton is someone that's a really exciting player, hugely confident, and he came in, I think, a day or two late. He's really impressed. Like, you can see his quality straight away. So I don't know what he's going to do at this level, but that's why he's here. We want to see what he can do, and we believe in him. We believe in his talent, and this again comes back to what this camp's all about. It's giving an opportunity to someone like Paxton to see how he can do it, and it's an opportunity for him for this campaign. You just never know. And Jonathan Tolkien as well. Again, like another big character. A funny kid, like he's great to have around. But one thing I love about him is like he has a real dogged determination. Like, he's not afraid of anything. He's, we spent a bit of time with him in Dallas before we went to the World Cup in that camp, and he's got some personality. I mean, I won't say some of the things that happen, but I love it. Like, some of the things on the training field, but like getting his teammates going, and he's playing against the first team and geeing everyone up, and he's a good character, tough kid, good player. So again, this is what this camp's for, is to give us a chance to see players like him. So I'm glad he's in the camp, and looking forward to seeing him play.
We'll take a few questions from our Zoom audience, and we'll start with Joseph de Hippolito.
Hi, thank you very much, Michael. Anthony, now that you've had a couple of days to actually deal with the players, how would you evaluate the way they have responded to a lot of the stuff that's been going on around between the end of the World Cup until now? And you mentioned the World Cup veterans, to what degree have they responded differently than what you might have seen in Qatar, and how have they been able to handle everything?
It's a good question. I think all of us, including the guys you just mentioned, I think there's a sense of like sadness because everyone put so much into it, including those guys. It's been a dream for so many of them, so many of us, but mainly the players. It's been their dream to do this. They set out with a big, lofty ambition, not just to go there, but to go there and represent themselves in a way that people would sit up and take notice of the team. So when all this happened, I think it was one of like, it's a shame, it's sadness, because all the attention has gone away from that, all the good work, and has been shifted in another direction. As they've come into camp, the conversations we've had, I think, this is part of professional sports, and it's like, you mentioned about, past experience. I mean, this is professional sports. Adversity is part of this, and I think you learn as players and coaches. You just have to keep responding. One thing the players have done, they've come in. They've been incredible in this camp. I had a meeting. Well, I spoke with them on the phone before they came in and shared what the camp was going to be like. We had a meeting when they came in with the leadership group, and I shared a little bit from my own personal view about the situation. We talked about what the camp would look like, and then I said, I'm going to lean on you even more in this camp. I want you to be take more leadership responsibility on and off the field to help the younger guys, help the new guys. We spoke about what that looks like, and the guys have been great. They've been responded really, really well, as I'd expect them. I mean, that's why we chose them to come in, because we know the character of these guys. So yeah, I mean, I think we just respond. We have a focus now as Serbia, and I think everyone I don't know who's watched training the last few days, but they've trained really well. The focus is firmly on the game for sure.
So Alex and Gaga are ready, so we'll take one more question, and it'll be from Scott French.
Hi, Anthony. This is a little bit of a follow-up to Joe's question. Given the situation, in what ways has it been a challenge for you in this camp, just in creating the right working environment? And after initially addressing it with the players, is it something that has been part of the conversation at all since camp has begun, or is that all behind you? You leave that to the side? Thank you.
Yeah, I think a lot. There was phone calls before the camp, and then obviously when the players came in, I've just tried to be very honest. I've tried to be myself. We've tried to keep things as consistent as possible. Obviously, the delivery of it is going to be different because it's coming from me. But we don't have a lot of time anyway on the training field to do too many things. So we've just kept things very consistent. And I have to be honest. When you come into camp, there's so much to do in terms of preparation, preparing the team, that you have very little time to even think about your own personal situation or how you feel or what's going on in the background. You're literally, this is like any camp. You come into camp and it's like the outside world kind of disappears for 10, 12 days. I mean, it really does. I mean, when we got back from Qatar, it's like I forgot how to go to the supermarket and do normal things. It's like that's how it is. Like you get into camp and it's there's so much going on, so much to think about, so much to analyze, so much to prepare. So that's what it's been like. As of today, I've really enjoyed it. I've enjoyed working with the staff, the players. It's been a good camp so far. And again, outside of that, I haven't had too much time to think.